This is Math 8, Lesson 26, Solving Systems of Equations by Graphing. Remember to pause as often as you need to. Your essential question is, how do you solve a system of equations by graphing? What is a system of equations? A system of equations is two or more linear equations with a common solution. So you can see here we have two lines that are graphed. And if we take a look at the first line, its slope is -1, so -1/1, and its y-intercept is 2, so 0, 2. So we graphed it at 0, 2. Let me switch to red. So this is the red one. So we graphed it at 0, 2, which is here. And then, like our slope tells us, we move down 1 and 1 to the right. So down 1, 1 to the right, down 1, 1 to the right, and that's how we got the red line. For the blue, the slope is 1, so we'll write it as 1/1. And the y-intercept, there's no number there, so that means it's just 0, 0. Oops, doesn't look like a 0. There you go, 0, 0. So we start at 0, 0, and then our slope tells us to move up 1 and 1 to the right. So we go up 1, 1 to the right. And we find that these two lines cross at 1, 1. That is the point that the two lines have in common. That is the solution. So the solution to a system of equations is the point that they share. The red line and the blue line both share 1, 1. That's the only point that both lines have in common. So there are three possibilities as far as the number of solutions to a system. The one we just saw had lines that intersect. If the lines intersect, then there's one solution. So for example, right here would be the one solution where the lines cross. There's your one solution. So one solution if the lines intersect. If the lines are parallel, then there is no solution. If you take a look over here to the right, these lines are parallel. There is no place where they cross. So that means there's no solution. They have no point in common. The point in common is the solution, and so there isn't a point in common. There is no solution. And the last, if the lines coincide, which is just a fancy word for overlap, then you have infinitely many solutions. And basically what that's telling us is that you have all the points in common. These lines are one on top of the other. They're supposed to be looking like they're totally one on the other. So it's really the same line. And so then all the points are shared. So every point's in common. So it's infinitely many solutions. To solve by graphing, first you have to, these are the steps to solve by graphing. Number 1, solve each equation for y. Today you're only going to see equations that are already solved for y, so you really won't need this step. But you have to make sure, obviously, everything's in y equals mx plus b form. 2, then you're going to use your slope and your y-intercept to graph each line. And 3, the solution is the point where the lines intersect. So you're always looking for the place where the lines cross. That is your solution. So let's try this first one. So we need to start by getting the slope, which remember is always the number that's multiplying x. So in this case that is 2. So we're going to write it as 2/1. So we have a rise number and a run number. And then our y-intercept is going to be 0, -3. So we will start at 0, -3 and put a point. And then our slope tells us to go up 2 and 1 to the right. So we'll go up 2, 1 to the right. Do it again. Up 2, 1 to the right. And what I want you to do when you do this is fill the grid that I'm giving you with as many points as you can get on there. So I'm going to go in the other direction. I'm going to go down 2 and 1 to the left. So now I've filled this up with as many points as I can. And connect those and put my arrows on. Okay, my next line, the red one, the slope is 1 because it's 1x. We don't see the 1 there. So we're going to write it as 1 over 1. Oops, what am I doing? Sorry, erase. We'll get back to that anyway. Okay, so the slope is 1, so 1 over 1. The y-intercept is 0, negative 1. So we're going to start at 0, negative 1, put a point, and then our slope tells us to move up 1 and 1 to the right. So here we go, up 1, 1 to the right, up 1, 1 to the right. Okay, I can stop now because I can see that the lines have hit a point in common, and that's really all I want to achieve with this. So the solution is the point that they have in common. So that is 2, 1. Remember, there's your x-coordinate, there's your y-coordinate. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, for the next one, for the blue equation, the slope is 1, so we're going to write it as 1 over 1. The y-intercept is 4, so we're going to write it as 0, 4. Now we graph. So we go to 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 0, 4 right here. And then our slope tells us to go up 1 and 1 to the right. So up 1, 1 to the right. I run out of room right away. So I'm going to start going in the other direction. Down 1 and 1 to the left. Down 1, 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 1 to the left. Okay, so there's my first line. My second line, the red line here, my slope is 4. So I'll call it 4 over 1. So I want to rise and a run number. And my y-intercept is 1, so we're going to write that as a point. So we're going to start at 0, 1, put a point, and then our slope tells us to rise 4 and 1 run to the right. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 to the right. Oh, bingo, get it right away. So I don't need to do any more than this, because I have the point where they intersect, which is my solution, and that solution is 1, 5. Okay, last one. Okay, so for this one, start with the blue equation. My slope is 2, so I'm going to write it as 2 over 1. My y-intercept is 0, 1. So I'm going to start at 0, 1. And then I'm going to go up 2, according to my slope, and 1 to the right. So up 2 and 1 to the right. Up 2 and 1 to the right. I'm going to go in the other direction. I'm going to go down 2, 1 to the left. Down 2, 1 to the left. Down 2, 1 to the left. I just want to give myself all the possibilities I can for the lines to cross, because I don't know where they're going to cross. So this just gives me a lot more possibilities. And then the second equation, my slope is 2, so I'm going to make it 2 over 1. My y-intercept is 0, negative 5. So I go to 0, negative 5, and I pull out a point. And then I go to my slope. My slope tells me to go up 2 and 1 to the right. So up 2, 1 to the right. Up 2, 1 to the right. Up 2, 1 to the right. Uh-oh. Up 2, 1 to the right. Up 2, 1 to the right. So if you notice, the lines are not crossing. In fact, these lines are never going to cross because they have the same slope and different y-intercepts, and that means that they are parallel. So the solution is that there is no solution because the lines are never going to cross. Okay, that's it. So go ahead and complete your notes, and that is it for learning how to solve systems of equations by graphing. Bye-bye.